Selecta Is It Kino Freeway 1996 edition. I am Simian Jimmy, joined as always by Eggy V. Rodriguez.
That's right, and if you don't know, you can call me Roberts. I'm something of a psychological expert.
And maybe people don't know, I had never heard of this movie, and I did something that very rarely happens. I went into a film knowing absolutely nothing about it. I didn't look up any trailers or synopses, didn't even know the cast. But, our dear friend, Dream Machine, who paid us to review 5 Friedkin films, said, okay, fuck Friedkin, we've done his freaky shit enough, let's move on to some other kinos from across the ages. And he recommended this one. I dove in blind. And Eggy, I'm re-evaluating my position on spoilers, because maybe I forgot how much genuine fun a movie can be when you don't know what's going to happen, or like where it's going, what it's about. And this movie is so ideal, so well made on top of it too, like a genuinely great, amazing movie with so many twists and turns and things you would never expect to see, that I almost want to talk about the movie vaguely to begin here so that people have a chance to see it spoiler free, because I had such an epiphany with maybe I'll never watch a movie trailer again in my life. I just want to dive in blind.
I think it's something that I've been going through lately, because we'll go to the theaters on occasion and we'll see certain trailers for things, but I think most of the time that we see trailers, it's things that I don't really have any intention to see. And, I keep on bringing this up. I probably used it as an example 3 times, but we went and saw The Naked Gun a little while back, and I hadn't seen any trailer or anything for it at all, so there was a couple of, very well-tread jokes that did not land, I think, probably for anybody who did see the trailer.
The entire bank heist scene is in the trailer, like in its entirety. So I had seen it 30 times. Eggy had never seen it. So like Eggy's the only one laughing because everybody else in the theater had seen it before.
Exactly. I mean, all I really need is maybe like 2 lines of a plot synopsis. Doesn't even need to be too much. And I think really we could say that as a filmmaker, you should be able to present your film within just maybe a few sentences and give it enough of an appeal just off of that to let, that could be kind of a heat check, if you want to say, as to if perhaps the film has some merits or if it's just out there to, fit a schedule.
Well, here's my heat check if I was going to synopsize a spoiler-free version of the film. And I think pretty much this is what I wrote on my Letterboxd review, but it's an edgy, white trash American masterpiece with a major plot twist every 8 minutes that almost shifts the genre and tone of the film along with the plot twist, but it's always peak. Like, it's exactly the best version of what these genres and scenes should be. It's all consistent. Like, the story and characters make sense. Reese Witherspoon, and I'm going way over the little 2-sentence tagline you recommended, but, we're into vague praising now. Reese Witherspoon, she's only 19 here. She's playing, a little bit younger, giving perhaps the most incredible lead female protagonist performance in any movie other than, like, Fargo, maybe. Like, I can't think of a stronger female hero, perhaps villain, in any movie. Like, I don't know, Tar maybe, and I didn't even fucking like Tar. So Reese Witherspoon, very young, doing incredible acting with an amazing, badass, realistic character, doing insane, horrendous shit consistently.
Well, and I should say that once again, I'll match you on being a little bit spoiler free here, but the synopsis really is for this film is really all you need, and it is very simple. It's I think it says something along the lines of a dark, humorous, gritty, modern reboot of the Little Red Riding Hood folktale, fable, if you will, and definitely in its own very well crafted way does hit a lot of those notes. There's a couple instances I could say that match what is going on in the film, but there's definitely some direct correlations, I think, to some major points in that folktale as well. And it was almost like a little extra treat to kind of, see it hit those notes so well amongst the realistic and gritty and that dark humor sort of atmosphere that is crafted among everything else that's put together in this story.
Yeah, I didn't think about that until the very end, and where it becomes extremely on the nose, and I'm sure we'll get to that. But it opens with a montage of, and Eggy, have you ever seen the show The White Lotus? I think Mike White ripped off this movie making The White Lotus, because the intro is identical to the title sequence from every season of The White Lotus. The music sounds similar, and it's just like close up images of murals of artwork that thematically relate to the story that is being told. Watch the intro to this movie and the intro to White Lotus. It's a complete ripoff, very shockingly similar. So shout out to White Lotus for ripping off a great film. But
I guess I don't want to sound like a hipster or anything, but I'll give credit to the White Lotus. I haven't seen it. I think every time I think about something about a resort, well, wasn't there might have been a Simpsons episode where they sneak into a resort or something. That might have been like the closest touchstone I have to the White Lotus. But there was another film that came out maybe 2013. I forget exactly, but it's called like The Rabbit or something, about like this resort where people are like shape-shifting into animals, which is some
The
kino. I forget
Lobster.
exactly. The Lobster. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Was that Yorgos Lanthimos? Is he the one who's doing that new Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons movie where she's playing like a bald alien CEO and he's torturing her? Because that sounds like, I love Jesse Plemons so much, and if he's torturing alien Emma Stone, it might be the greatest kino of whatever year it comes out.
As I recall, I think I had fond feelings about The Lobster, so I would definitely think he's going to come again strong. But so to say, I don't want to sound like a hipster, but this, with me not being at all familiar with The White Lotus, it was a very refreshing intro, and it felt very 1996, which is when this film was released. There's just something about it. I think that we need more of this, and I would hate that maybe perhaps now, if that was the case, it might feel White Lotus inspired, but in a time where we're really sometimes missing just that human touch in filmmaking to really just give it an extra grounded piece that could really hit us emotionally and artistically. I think just some good old-fashioned crayon color drawings of a wolf chasing some hot babes. I was getting a little bit like a Mad Magazine kind of vibe. The skirts are hiked up a little bit. It's a little ferocious, a couple of portions there, but still, yeah, very engaging. Felt just very like a immediate authenticity in the film before we even get into it, and it really did set the tone, because I feel like that's consistent throughout the picture as well.
And it really is a bloody, horrific odyssey journey to grandmother's house. So it truly is Little Red Riding Hood, and you don't really put that together. Oh, maybe Discord fucked up a bit, or not Discord, but OBS, but hopefully it's okay now. They might have cut me off for 1 second. But Eggy, any other vague posting we should block in before we actually dive into what this movie is?
Well, I thought it was kind of funny because I think the first sort of inclination that I've noticed in the film that had this Little Red Riding Hood analogy, and there might even have been something prior to it, but essentially when Vanessa is the name of the character, the main female protagonist played by Reese Witherspoon. Vanessa is about to get on her way to finding her grandmother to start, getting her life back on track. She packs a red basket with like a red flag. I mean, I call it a flag, but like a bandana, which it fits because she's in this sort of ghetto area where there's it's made known that there is a very prominent gang presence, and so it just kind of fits that she would have this red bandana with her because there might just be she's got a gangsta in her life who meets an end that I kind of predicted a little bit. Oops, spoiler alert perhaps, but I don't know, the energy was right there. I think the scene was set up to let you know it was going to happen, but yeah, the whole basket through the woods is replaced with the basket with a gangsta bandana on top. So that was kind of my first inclination, I guess, as I mentioned, that first touch point.
Okay, folks, that's your 10-minute warning here, okay? We gave you vague spoilers for this fine film that I think you would really enjoy if you watch it spoiler-free. It's probably bad to say, hey, stop listening to this video and ruin our watch time and come back later if you remember, but you know what? That's an option for people. But now we're going to really dive on in. And Eggy, where do we begin? Which of the 18 different mini-movies in this movie did you enjoy most?
Enjoy most? Well, I mean, I would probably have to say that the entire portion that really sets the stage for our main villain. I mean, we do get a little bit of information beforehand in an earlier scene that kind of helps us identify or get an inclination as to who this man is and that he is a bad person. But there's a whole portion where Vanessa, her car that she's driving to grandmother's house, it does break down on the freeway. And she has this nice man. I think he had something to do with 24 Hours. He might be a secret agent, all in a whole other type of way. Mr. Kiefer Sutherland is Bob.
And I've only watched a little bit of 24. Kiefer Sutherland, I've also seen him in the movie A Phone Booth, where he plays a villain. And based on just that small sample, I think he's a much better villain than hero. He plays sinister and menacing. His voice gets so deep and creepy. I need to watch more Kiefer.
He does a fantastic Dahmer-esque is definitely what I was feeling on this here. And I should say, how could I forget his last name or space it for a moment? Bob Wolverton. So maybe once again a little bit on the nose there that this is a wolfish man of sorts.
Shit.
It's very interesting the way that they go about him. Once again, it plays into this serial killer archetype that he's meant to portray. But he works as, according to him, and I believe this is consistent throughout the film, a counselor at a school for boys, and it's clearly said, boys and not girls with emotional problems. So I'm going to basically utilize this expertise that I have as I give you a ride to your next stop here, and this isn't I don't need to drive you all the way to your grandmother's house to the front door, but essentially I'll just help you along your way here. And so he's kind of getting this psychological angle, and he gets her to give him some trust, tell her about some of the personal issues that she's been experiencing, and then all the same, this whole ride from hell that continues on once his actual motivations start to reveal themselves, that this guy allegedly was killing prostitutes and copulating with their corpses and who knows what else. This is just what's kind of inferred to us from the information that's made available in the film. Could be even something even more disgusting, but how could it be more disgusting? He uses those psychological elements that he was able to kind of place onto Vanessa to get some of this information out of her, and then start to use it against her as a reason why, he is above her and why he deserves to have his way with her and do what he pleases. And so I really, it's overall, as much of an impact as it has on the film and as much as it ties both halves of the film together, it's not a particularly long portion of the film, I would say, overall. So it really packs a lot in there, and it culminates with, a very tense action scene that, once again, really sets the stage from there on out for the second half of the film. So I would say that might be, as much as I enjoyed really every part of the film, I think that was probably, in my opinion, the most significant part to bring everything together.
And you could see a full 90-minute feature where it's just them in the car, and it's the arc of he goes from being the friendly therapist to the stark menacing guy, and then she pulls out the gun and switches it up on him. But this movie just takes the 10 best minutes from that hypothetical movie, and that's just one part of this. You get a teen girl in a car with a secret rapist predator as its own movie for one scene. If you like lesbian prison romance comedies, you get that as its own mini movie. If you like prison escapes, that's quick to follow. And then if you like fairy tale shenanigans, just wait till you see the
like
final
Dan
scene.
Hedaya, playing his that role he's so good at. The investigator he's putting on and taking off his sunglasses 50 times throughout his scenes. Giving the old brow wrinkle. Just he plays that investigator role very well, and those are some good scenes. Also, he's kind of a good counterbalance here because we are sort of rooting for Vanessa as this anti-hero. We don't really know for sure. There is a bit of a uncertainty there, which I think probably is intentional, maybe to mirror the original folktale, where Mr. Wolverton, as we've seen that he definitely displays some sicko tendencies, but is he really the man who was doing these things to these women? Was he just a little off his rocker?
Yes. He never tricked me. He showed his true colors when he thought he had the upper hand, and as soon as she pulls out that gun, all of a sudden, I was just trying to scare you. No, fuck off. His name's literally Wolfington, like you're saying. Like, there's no question, Eggy.
Now,
there's no ambiguity in this film.
I mean, well, you know what? I'm not gonna. I'm gonna disagree with you here because there's a. I was speaking on Dan Hedaya. He's the problem, but there is an African American assistant to him, like his fellow investigative partner, I would say, who the actor I didn't immediately recognize. But during this initial interrogation, I guess just for the record, this is a little spoilery. Vanessa gets picked up. Yeah, she tells Mr. Wolverton all her secrets and all of her trauma and everything like that. He flips it on her. He wants some of that Vanessa-y, and she ain't going for it. She got a gun from her gangster boyfriend that she's supposed to resell for some pocket change when she gets where she's going, but she ends up dumping a few shots into Mr. Wolverton in self-defense. So after she ends up getting arrested, taken in, and questioned, this investigative partner who whatever his name was,
Black Cop.
Mike Breer, I believe, is his name in the film. So anyways, yeah, Black Cop. He is interrogating her and, gets her to admit, oh, yes, I've been arrested multiple times for shoplifting. I got arrested for arson. I got arrested for soliciting sex. And he kind of gives her this really freaky look, and he goes, oh, just do what comes natural, huh? Like, I thought at that point, I'm like, okay, what is more likely? We hear often throughout American history, or at least in the last several decades, of that crooked cop who's been on the inside and been taking women in, and oh, you're a prostitute, you need to be arrested. All of a sudden she disappears. I felt like there was some uncertainty that was brought into the storyline there with his behavior in that particular scene. Also, especially considering that this Vanessa is supposed to be 14 years old in the film. So if you got like a 40-year-old cop like going up to a 14-year-old prostitute, like, oh, just doing what comes naturally. It seemed like some sicko stuff. It seemed like, okay, that you're making me second guess from then on. It is, worked out later in the film, but it wasn't.
I don't know if the cop was a sicko. I think maybe he looked down on sex workers and was disgusted by her and just following in her prostitute mom's footsteps, who was doing tricks in the next hotel room over from her fucking husband and daughter, right, who I guess was getting molested the whole time. But interestingly, if you're a big fan of Reese Witherspoon and you've wanted to hear her say the N-word, this is the movie to watch, because she's shouting the N-word at this cop and calling him a coon and throwing chairs at his head. And then this ends up being very important, like this grudge that the cop holds against her, because later when the black cop finds out that her dead boyfriend was black, he's like, oh shit, she was a coal burner. And like he has like a whole revelation like about her true colors as a person. Like that really changes his perspective, and he like finds the next key to the investigation that leads them all to the conclusion. So interesting writing here on every level. Very just as edgy as you could be, having this literal teenage actress yelling the N-word. early on in her career, why not? Just do it.
But it was it definitely has a little something for everybody because there's some gratuitous romance. It's just one of the first scenes is, like, I got my chuddar on, it is what it is. So I'm like, okay, yeah, this one, if this got shown to, a particular audience, they're definitely probably turning this off within 5 seconds, but it is.
Well, so we have Reese Witherspoon and Bokeem Woodbine, who, if you're saying certain chud members of the audience will be upset that this beautiful blonde woman is making out with a dark-skinned black guy in the opening minute of the movie, and they're just making out nonstop. Racist people are going to be upset about that, but I'll say, on Bokeem Woodbine's behalf, if it had to be any black guy, I'm glad it was him. He's amazing. If you've seen him in Fargo, just... he delivers lines like nobody else. I love the way he talks. He's a completely bald high school student in this movie. That's hilarious. And I don't know what grade level they're supposed to be in, but I guess they're in the retard class, because the opening scene is the teacher pointing at the words, the cat likes to drink milk. And our hero, main character, who goes on to be very intelligent in like street smarts, I guess, she just cannot read, completely illiterate to 4-year-old level words. So I didn't even know what kind of movie I was watching at that point. I felt like this had to be a complete satire to show what looks like a room full of 20-year-olds who are completely retarded.
Too, like at the beginning, she's like, once again, it feels very 1996, kind of like a little bit like Gen X energy, and she's like, everybody's like doing this, like chewing gum, and like got their high heels up on the desk or whatever, and it just felt very period appropriate.
Interracial making out in the front of the classroom is a wild time.
I was gonna say that to say, it does have something a little bit for everybody, because then there's throughout the film a lot of racially charged pejoratives in many directions. So really, it's a fair and balanced picture.
Equal opportunity hate monger film. A lot of very graphically discussed sexual content involving children. Like this Reese Witherspoon character, we find out. This was confusing to me. The stepdad like tries to molest her, but then she beats the shit out of him on the couch, and I was like, okay, hell yeah, she could stand up for herself and fight back. But then the cops bust in like 10 minutes later, and they're together on her bed. So I was confused. Like, if she's fighting back, then he just forced himself again and she didn't fight back? And then we find out later he's been molesting her for years. And then we find out later when she was 12 years old, her and her friend were prostituting, soliciting, and just giving dudes hand jobs. And this is all like explained to the police. So I almost feel like they were almost making it up as they went along at some point, unless I just don't understand the psychology of being a molestation victim.
I would say, I guess, as far as the interactions between her and her stepfather, I would imagine I'd say sort of a obviously very disagreeable situation, but it might be something where she could get wore down just to try and keep the peace. They are really on the outs already as it is. Her mother's out prostituting literally just like outside their front door while the stepdad's like smoking crack, and you just, you're either going to have this or you're going to have foster care. That's kind of brought up a few different times, especially at the beginning, and it's kind of a consistent thing. She's trying to get to her grandmother's house to avoid being put back into foster care after the situation. So yeah, it might just be like, oh, well, I'm going to have something to eat, I'm going to have a place to sleep if I just go along with it, go along to get along type of deal. And then as far as that,
but she beats the shit out of him, and it looked like she won.
It would be something like she's trying to turn the tide. She's trying to like ramp him down, so to speak, so that maybe he'll focus more on getting high or whatever. Just like put his mind elsewhere. But if he's not going to go elsewhere, it's gonna make the bottom fall out. So it's gonna kind of cause a fallout amongst the living situation to not just go along with it. So it's like it's how it is with abusers. Like sometimes you can get them to focus elsewhere and kind of buy yourself a little bit of a peace of mind from them. So that would be my guess. And then as far as the prostitution that's mentioned, with this being set in South Central, I've watched a lot of a YouTube channel, which quality may or may not be what it was at its peak, but soft white underbelly. he'll interview prostitutes that are from that area, and yeah, basically, if they're able to get out of the parental sphere, like if their parents are totally out on drugs or whatever, and they're 11, 12 years old, and they are looking about the right size, and then the guys who are out there scouring for prostitutes, they'll just go for anything. They don't care what's legal, what's not. So, unfortunately, just a accurate representation of the sickery.
Well, because I was talking to Rusty, and he said actually this fall he was planning a trip to Bangkok, but he should just go to South Central instead.
Well, there's a podcast that kind of speaks for itself. It's called like Back on Fig, and it's Figueroa Street, and I think probably now on the main blade, as they call it.
Isn't Figaro the name of Rusty's friend who hit somebody with their car? Joshua Figaro?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that was his name.
In any case, it's a high volume area in Los Angeles for prostitution that's typically referenced, and I would think in the current day, perhaps maybe with all the activity going on over there, that they would be a little self-policing and they wouldn't have, women who are not.
Women yet.
I guess there's really nobody who should be a prostitute, but I guess what I mean to say is that they wouldn't have 11, 12-year-olds out there, walking alongside, 20-something-year-old women. They would do them off.
Yeah, I think we need the 20-year-old prostitutes to prevent the next Elliot Rodger. If only.
And they got apps for that nowadays, especially in Los Angeles. I'm sure they got some kind of system worked out. But if not, there's plenty of crack-smoking men driving Cadillacs around on Figueroa about 24 hours a day, so... Sign of the times, folks. It is what it is.
They say you should not be a menace in the hood while sipping your juice in South Central. Did I get that right? If I recall, that was one of the funniest movies I've ever seen in my entire life. I think I said as much on Letterboxd.
I also did quite enjoy it. We definitely need some more hood pictures. I feel like this, in its own way, definitely falls into like the hood film category. You definitely get some of that real, raw, impoverished, drug-addicted background, and even aside from the parallels to the Little Red Riding Hood folktale and some of the things that are played up a little bit for that dark comedy angle, there's a definite authenticity here. Vanessa, multiple times throughout the film, references, once you get that stamp on you from the system that you're just, a hoodlum, that you're just, child of a prostitute and a drug addict, you're scum, you're a garbage person, as Mr. Wolverton refers to her, in his scheming ways, that at that point you might as well just go for broke, because it's going to keep on looping you around in the same cycle, that all you'll ever be in their eyes, you're no good. So definitely an authentic perspective there, I would say.
And for doing such a dark and gritty story based on a fairy tale, this really does have the fairy tale storybook ending where she earns the cops' respect by being right all along, and the implication is she's getting away with all the crimes she did commit, which she killed 1.5 security guards to escape from the police van, but the cops are like, we should have listened to you, he was the wolf the whole time and you beat him, so hell yeah.
We kind of end towards the end of the film. There's a man who is essentially seemingly left for dead. I mean, I think they'll probably still be able to rescue him if they're so inclined, but
not the guy who got slashed up?
Or not. I think the security guard that got slashed, I think he's presumed dead.
And the chick got choked out.
Which, I mean, to be honest, whatever actress played her, I never felt, so against her. She kind of seemed like she was always kind of a decent woman. I don't think I ever felt like she should die, but it is what it is. No, I was referring to the basically the climax of the film is Vanessa, she's out. She's made her escape after being arrested for shooting Mr. Wolverton. She's out, but she needs a little money, so it's time to go back to the block, try to holler at some Johns. And so she hollers at a guy in a car and says, I'm going to slurp you up real good. So he starts taking his pants off, and she pulls out that trusty Wolverton killing pistol. No, I think this might have been a different weapon. Yeah, this is one that she got from one of her fellow escapee inmates.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. Like, so many characters get their own little character arcs. When she's thrown into the women's prison and the big thug Latina boss comes up to her, Reese beats the fuck out of this woman. You know, that's what you're supposed to do on the first day of prison, is beat up the biggest person there. But then, like, the arc is she becomes friends with her and they help each other escape. And then on the outside, she's like this big gang leader and she hooks her up with a new gun. So I like that. Like, even the stock character of, you know, gang boss in prison that you beat up gets a whole little arc in there that happens in like 8 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'll finish my one thought here so I don't get too disjointed, but the John that she shakes down, she steals his car, she orders him into his own trunk while she steals his car, and the last we see of him is like the cops pull up behind Reese, Vanessa, and the guy's like still banging in the trunk like, I'm dying, help, and there's never any resolution to that. But
he's parked outside the trailer park. They'll help him out on the way out, maybe.
We can hope so. Well, I mean, I guess not.
I don't hope so. Fuck that guy. He found out that she was like 14, and he's like, oh, that's fine by me.
Well,
yeah, leave him in the trunk.
So we could give him the full prosecution of justice and have him, you know, splattered all over the tabloids as a sicko, is what I know.
Let's leave him in the trunk.
Yeah, that worked.
It's whatever. There's a great subplot. So the big bad wolf guy, we already told you the whole deal with him. She shoots him in the torso 3 times, once in the neck and like twice in the head. And this movie, like, this is when the movie gets truly fairy tale cartoonish. He survives this and walks all the way to the emergency room with 2 fucking bullet head wounds. And then he's all fucked up and paralyzed for the rest of the movie. Like, he's talking with his lip all the way up here the whole time. And there's these great court scenes, better than anything in Joker 2, where Reese is like pointing and laughing at him. Like, you ugly fucking freak, you got what you deserved. Yeah, I should have shot you even more. And her lawyer's like, are you insane? Like, saying that in front of the judge and jury. Just admitting that she did it. It's so funny. But the subplot of Kiefer Sutherland's, the wolf guy, his wife, is just brain dead. She thinks he's completely innocent. There's no way he is the serial killer. And they you know, do the search warrant and find all of his kiddie porn in the shed or whatever porn that was. And she immediately goes upstairs and shoots herself in the head. Like, I love how edgy the movie is. Like, they just show the woman commit suicide immediately. I don't know why that got me so good. I hated that bitch.
The investigators are just like, God damn.
It'd be like in Donnie Darko if Kitty Farmer, the teacher, when she found out that the guy she idolized was a fraud, like if she pulled out a gun and shot herself in the head. Like, I would have loved that so much.
And should mention also that, speaking of his brain dead wife, there's a little running gag, maybe you would say, that after Vanessa is arrested and they're saying, oh, look at all this horrible things that she's done. She's got so many arrests. We should definitely try her as an adult. She's an attempted murderer. She's, you know, a total lunatic. There's like a little press run where like Bob Wolverton and his wife Mimi, I believe is her name. So very, you know, bourgeoisie sounding name. They're like on the Today Show or like 60 Minutes or something like that, like sitting in their backyard, and they're like, oh, I just don't know why this horrible monster of a woman would do this. You know, look, this is just so horrible. She needs to be, you know, really put under the prison. She's a monster. And the news anchor's like, oh, yes, of course, absolutely, I agree. You know, this is horrible tragedy. And then it cuts back to the newsroom, and the anchor lady's like, well, you know, I was hoping we'd find some heroes out here in America. I've been looking for them, and I can tell you we've definitely found a couple today. And, you know, like they're watching this, I think from, as I recall, were they inside the female prison, like watching this on TV? Mm-hmm. And it was, it just goes to show sometimes the media is like that. They're like, oh, you know, they don't care about doing too much of the truth. They're just, whatever's going to paint a good picture, let's go ahead and run that story.
You think that the media goes out of its way to defend the satanic pedophiles? and paint their victims as the actual bad people?
All I'm saying is that there might have been some people that were accusing a certain gentleman who had a temple, and I don't think that when these witnesses and accusers mysteriously died, that they ever really talked too much about it on the news. So,
Katie Johnson? Does that name ring a bell? Katie I don't know. Maybe I can't say that on YouTube anymore. What were they doing in those tunnels in New York? I still want the answer to that. Is that where Katie Johnson was taken?
Yeah, it seems likely to me. I mean, they probably had him for, more than a little while. I think they've probably been, tunneling him for a while. They said, we had to do it for 2020. I don't know about that. It might have been 2020 years that they were down there. So, certainly.
Eggy, is the edgiest, funniest, and most graphically upsetting moment in the film the reveal of what happened to Grandma? It felt like something out of a different movie. Like, it was truly next level shocking. A naked old woman with everything exposed, tied up. Yeah, I assume in some fetish way so we could fuck
I was
the
kind of
corpse.
hoping that, I definitely saw the reveal coming, based on my prior knowledge of the folktale and just...
It wasn't until she was walking towards the bed that I realized it was going to be him, but I would never have guessed we would see naked Grandma all fucked up.
Basically, she parks the vehicle and she runs into the house, and it's just like a shot following her into the house. So really, it's like you're there with her. Anything could really pop out at any time. She comes into the bedroom. I'm thinking maybe Bob's going to be standing there, maybe holding Grandma hostage or something. I guess maybe this was probably not addressed particularly in the more sanitized, child-friendly version of Little Red Riding Hood, but maybe in the original, Hans Christian Andersen, whoever created it. I think that he eats the grandma, so maybe this is, he wasn't a cannibal, he was a corpse molester.
He ate out Grandma's pussy.
I believe he does allude to something along those lines, but yeah, it was a very shocking image. Was it the most shocking? I feel like whatever prosthetics they used to keep Kiefer Sutherland's face all freaked out the whole time, and he's in the restaurant smoking a cigarette, and the smoke is like coming out of his neck, and he sounds like a robot. And I think his appearance is consistently more disturbing, but it definitely was a shock.
More disturbing than a naked old woman? Come on now.
Well, I think, I knew she was gonna...
The corpse of a naked woman tied up for sexual pleasure on full display with a granny bush, and her pussy all opened up. Oh. It's nasty.
Maybe I didn't.
I freeze framed it and made sure I wasn't gay by jerking it to it, and they just couldn't get it off.
Let me see. I wonder if
They show it twice.
Well, I thought they just show her here, actually I got it.
She's all fucking tied up with fetish gear, ain't she?
Let's see. Apologize, I'm just quickly...
Describe it to the audience as much as you can.
You want to see your grandma? Let's see what she's looking like. You might have watched a different cut than me, because this doesn't even have... I watched...
Really?
Well, technically I watched both the cut that was on Cinebi and also I think Look Movie, because the Cinebi cut kept crapping out in this last third for some reason. She kind of looks naked and laughing, laying down with a noose, but it's a slack noose though. It's not.
But can you see the titties and pussy on display?
It cuts off at about so.
What? Oh my God, Egg! What? Did I dream this? It was horrific.
I would say the original cut of the film, but I don't know. You must have got your hands on the unrated cut somewhere, because it is mentioned.
Oh my God!
And I could do a quote here, I believe.
I'll try to find it for you.
So yeah, it was. I guess I don't know, because I get maybe. That's weird. Yeah, because whatever cut, I think I was watching the quote-unquote censored cut, which doesn't really make sense because it seems to be the same runtime as what they call the uncensored cut. But
maybe they just spend more time showing naked grandmas in this one. It's Steve Harvey's dream come true.
The censored version removes Bob Wolverton saying he wants to put his thingamajig in Vanessa's butthole. I don't remember hearing that part either. And then I think it shows less of the grandma in the censored part. So, but I mean, I technically watched it on 2 different sites because of technical issues, and neither of them had this exposed grandma cut. So, I mean, I think, yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm looking at it right now. So you do not see the titties. Grandma's got some really actually big old titties. I was wrong. You don't see her pussy. There is like a little green dress wearing doll on a table blocking the pussy, it looks like. There's a big noose wrapped around her neck, and her mouth is just like gaping open and horrified. Maybe this isn't Grandma. I don't know who this is supposed to be. She looks...
Well,
yeah, she looks kind of young.
I would say this. I mean, with that being said, the mother in the film...
Do you want me to send you a screen cap and you tell me if you recognize this from your
The mother
movie?
in the film, who's not an enormous part, so I do forget her, Ramona Lutz, and the daughter's Vanessa. Ramona looks beat. She saw Ramona Lutz, and then she was a slut. No.
I could have sworn he said, take a look at what happened to Grandma, and then it shows this shot, Eggy. So, does this look like a naked grandma to you?
Put it in the chat.
Yeah, hopefully I didn't send it to the wrong person, because then I'm canceled for life.
This is not. It's a very highly zoomed in. Yeah, this would have definitely taken the cake for freakishness, no doubt.
I told you.
Yeah. So all right. Yeah, you got the cut that I did not get.
You gotta watch the good version of the movie, Eggy. There's probably so much edgy shit you
The only
missed.
difference is that shot and him saying that he wants her butt.
During the therapy session, they didn't talk about like if she likes it up the butt or whatever, because that's where she really gets pissed at him, and that's like the turning point.
No,
really?
In the cut that I watched, it was just a like a natural progression of him like crossing boundaries.
He says, she says she was molested by Larry for years, and he says, did you like it when Larry fucked you up the ass? And then that's when she starts getting uncomfortable with the therapy and starts fighting back. I think in my cut it was just
like, oh, did you like it or something like that? He doesn't never explicitly stated. So you watched unrated.
If he calls her a fucking cunt and he's like punching her in the face over and over again, you saw all that? Okay, good.
Well, now the audience knows we learned something here as well. Make sure that, if you get to a point and there's no talk of taking it in the butts, you might need to re-examine the cut.
Yeah, if you don't see naked grandma, just start the movie over, even though it's like with 7 minutes left in the film. You have to start the whole thing over. I was so impressed by this movie and the director's balls and his movie-making instincts that I, look up his filmography. He's made fucking nothing. He made Tiptoes, which I think is a highly hated film. Like I think the majority of the reviews were half-star. So one of the all-time flops. I think it's an offensive movie about midgets or something. I'm not sure. But then he made a sequel to this. He wrote and directed a sequel to this movie with a completely different cast, evidently. So I don't know if it's a spiritual sequel or just recast. But Natasha Lyonne is playing the prostitute. And I was a big fan of her in Poker Face Season 1. Now she's shitting the bed with her AI tech boyfriend has ruined her artistic integrity. And then Poker Face Season 2 was terrible anyway. So maybe I'll watch it just to see better Natasha back in the day. Back before
I did take a little peek. I didn't watch the film, but I took a peek at a few elements of it. So whereas this is a take on Little Red Riding Hood, the sequel Freeway 2 is a take on Hansel and Gretel. It is a little less critically received well, but who knows, that could be for any reason. And there's Vincent Gallo, who is a something of an infamous figure for numerous reasons in art, film, and culture, especially in the modern day. I've seen a lot of people that are quite I don't know if infatuated is the right word, but very fond.
Kino Corner is obsessed with him.
So that's an interesting choice, and this might have been 99, I guess. I don't know if that was before any of his more breakout roles that he is more known for, but It sounds interesting enough, especially following this film, that I would certainly give it my 97 minutes just to see what it's all about. Hard to follow for sure, but I wouldn't be against seeing what it's all about. Not at all.
And then, strangely, even though he's only made 3 or 4 movies over the last 30 years, it said that he's working on Spring Breakers 2, that James Franco, Selena Gomez movie from probably over 10 years ago at this point, which I did see, I believe, in college and theaters at the time, as a big James Franco fan, and as a big fan of Vanessa Hutchinson's nude leaks. So, decent film. And if he's working on the sequel, if he makes it as edgy as this, Spring Breakers 2 will certainly be better than Spring Breakers 1, in my opinion.
Well, I believe I was made aware of that film at the time. I think that James Franco's character drew some influence from hip-hop superstar Riff Raff, who's still making waves today. There's a lot of rappers now that are using AI music videos, but he's doing it in a way that's on a whole other level from everybody else. He was just featured recently in $1 Million Extreme Peace, which is a spiritual successor to their World Peace series they released through their own website maybe a few months ago or so, and they had him perform a music number at one of the end of the shows. So Riff Raff, he's still tipping, still sipping, and hopefully they're still going to be ripping off of his persona for Spring Breakers 2 for some real kino.
Yeah, James Franco has nothing else going on. They better get him for the sequel. This seems like the type of director who would not be afraid to work with like Mel Gibson and James Franco. Get over the cancellations, folks.
He worked with Vincent Gallo before. Might as well bring him back into Kino Corner. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, why not? What's the worst thing he did? Is like prostitute off his cock on the internet? Like
he wore a certain red hat. Maybe maybe he's not feeling that anymore after some Epsteinery, but who could say for sure?
He probably still is. Eggy, any final thoughts on this fine film before we get out of here?
A really engaging picture. I appreciate it being brought to my attention because I mentioned it to a friend of mine, and they're like, just me saying the word Freeway, they're like, oh, the Kiefer Sutherland movie. I was like, people know about this? Like, I never heard of this in my life. And it's certain.
Yeah, I've never heard of this, and it was like a where have you been all my life moment. I wish half of all movies made were similar to this, just in terms of pacing, characters. And he made us review of William Friedkin's 5 most famous movies, The Exorcist and all those. And I feel like a midwit to say this, but I enjoyed this more than those 5. Not that I disliked those in any way. You can go hear us praise those, but perhaps the literature style of the 1970s filmmaking, where maybe they fetishized having their characters be a little unknowable upon first watch, and you really have to rewatch these movies time and time again and study them to really understand the mastery. As a midwit monkey brain, upon an initial viewing, I prefer this movie because it's very straightforward with the storytelling. The characters tell you exactly who they are. They're not trying to trick you. And it's just endlessly entertaining and surprising.
You're telling me, or anybody would ask, what film that portrays child prostitution are you more fond of? Freeway or Goodbye Uncle Tom? I'll probably have to.
Or a Serbian film. How about that?
I guess that's it. There's like a scale here, like Freeway's at one side and Serbian films on one side. Like you kind of have, like a kind of placed in the situation. I need this money, and then you have I'm enslaved. Then you have I'm kidnapped by Serbians, and you know how that goes. So
I would watch this with my entire family.
Oh, yeah.
I would probably not watch a Serbian film with my mom. I did watch it with my dad once upon a time. And we reviewed it together on a podcast, if anybody could find that. Maybe it's on the Monkey Jones 2 channel. No, actually, it was not, because I looked through that. That might be lost to history. Hey, if you, much like Dream Machine, would like to pay us $100 to review anything you want, hit us up, SimianJimmyBusiness at gmail.com. Right. Pitch your idea. Eggy, anything you want to plug? I saw you posted a new song to the Egg White YouTube channel.
That's right, my new Rootin' Tootin' Jam, Fuss and Fool. I said, you know what? I want to try this style out.
Is that a
Oh, that's
cover?
all original. I just wrote that.
Wow, really? That's actually impressive, Eggy. The lyrics were so good, I thought you were doing a cover of some famous song.
No.
That's crazy. Wow.
So
Did you write those or did you make them up? Just top of it?
well,
really?
you know, I had the obviously I'm not playing the instruments, but it's an Italian gentleman who I reached out to who did the instrumentation. I think probably the vocal background harmonies are just like synthetic off a plugin or something like that he put in there for me. But the structure of it.
But you didn't. Did you improvise the song or did you write the lyrics down?
Yep.
Okay, good. I was gonna say that's too good to improvise, you motherfucker.
With that
I was
being
about to be
said, I
mad.
did record it in one take though, so.
That is impressive. We got a whole album coming out that good?
Well, I just was talking to him right before we recorded here. I'm getting the paperwork in line. So Fuss and Fool, slightly crisper quality is going to be to all streaming services probably within a week or so here. The reception has been very good. You know, it's not like it's getting a million views on YouTube, whatever, but I was, you know, checking the metrics, and on average, it appears that like every person who's listening to it is listening to it like at least 400% of the length of the track. So it seems to have some good replay value, seems to be enjoyed as far as I can tell. So I figure, hey, you know what? Especially now, as of this exact moment, a bunch of the online casinos, as a result of the lawsuit, a bunch of the stuff got shut down today. So, you know, it's time to start, you know, seeing what else is going on out here. And I figure, you know what? I mean, I think I uploaded it at like midnight, so it was really just like the exact second that all these things shut down. Like I put this, I think that was a line in the sand, anchor dropped,
a turning point.
And yeah,
USA.
right. And I'm tapped in with this Italian gentleman again. I like where this song was. I think maybe next, I'm getting some Elvis comparisons here. I'm thinking maybe something a little more, you know, a little less rootin' tootin' and maybe a little more melodic, a little smoother, kind of, you know, maybe a little more symphonic might be the right word, type of tune. But I'm going to be working on it. That's what I'm going to be working on. So make sure you're following either the Egg White channel on YouTube, but hopefully it'll be just so darn good that you'll just have it end up falling into your ears somehow or another. Anyway, I will be doing some promotion because I figure if I'm doing some rollouts and I'm signing off on all the paperwork and everything to put it on streaming, I should probably try and get people to listen to it on there too. So
we just did a 30-second music video for the Vincent the Atheist show. Maybe we should start filming some Eggy music videos for your original work.
And I could say also to those ends, you know, once I released that last night, like I texted Rusty maybe about like 1 or 2 in the morning, and I was like, oh, they're saying that this is just proof that me and Rusty should do some songs that got together. So he was feeling that, you know, he's like, oh, that's a good idea. He already has an idea for a song he wants to do. I think I got some free flight credit, some free hotel credit, or, you know, I guess I wouldn't need that if I'm going to Rusty's, but.
Yeah, he said he hasn't put the cot away yet, so you can just go sleep on the cot. Yeah, that's next level lazy. Like, that's in his living room, just sitting there.
He probably has friends coming over. He's got BG Cumby coming over, and, you know.
To lay on the cot.
As long as it don't got no.
It's not comfortable.
As long as there's no moles hiding in it, like his clothing, you know, it is what it is.
They just Reactor's hat was hiding under it. Somehow fell out of my bag, and I didn't see it.
Did he get that meal back yet?
But he hasn't fucking touched it yet. I guarantee it's sitting under the cot. I got 2 cups of coffee to piss out, so peace, people.